Steve.
Hello, Rolf.
Lovely to see you tonight.
Yeah, you too.
So, Steve Consalva's my good friend from England, one of our featured speakers at the first Fireworks Symposium in Riga and one of the sponsors of the event. Just about a year ago, I was in England, and me and Osa were in England, and we took part of your fantastic fit. And now we're meeting again in Riga in October. And tell me, why do you think it's important to have a fireworks symposium where people from all schools can meet and share and celebrate together?
Well, when I first met Tolly, he talked about the fact that fireworking wasn't a cult, that it was basically a gathering, you know, that it would create its own momentum, that it would actually be a movement. And when I first got involved with firewalking, which was about 27 years ago, I kind of saw it as a form of therapy, or just a tool for getting over fears and phobias. But in those years, I've noticed that actually there comes a point where you've firewalked enough that actually it's gone into your soul. And with Tolly expanding the firewalking movement, and Peggy expanding the firewalking movement, and with his kind of retirement, it became to me obvious that all these little groups were scattered all over the world, and yet we all had something in common. We'd got over that bridge of just one or two firewalks, and it seemed to me as though there was a lot of knowledge out there. And of course, coming from a skeptical background, I love knowledge and I love standards and finding the core of where everything comes from. So to me, it's the ultimate way of becoming a professional, sharing stuff with your peers, sharing stuff with other people who think differently from you. That to me is how you become wise, and it's how you gain real knowledge. And so, this is a great phenomenon. And I think anybody who values themselves as a professional should get involved and should share that knowledge, and also should soak up all the knowledge of the whole group. So I think it's an incredibly powerful and incredibly valuable thing for us all to get involved with.
Yeah, thank you. I actually agree. Knowledge is the easiest thing to carry, isn't it? And you were sort of already touching on your subject, because I think your subject as a speaker on the symposium is related to skepticism, isn't it?
Well, Rolf, you know a little bit about my story, and I come from a very, very lower class family background. 7 kids, no mum. Mum died when I was 1. And my dad was basically a communist, skeptic, capitalist, skeptic, very, very low. And so I was built with skepticism. And so once I started to understand that what was holding me back was my own skepticism, and once I started to play with these tools, even though I was skeptical, I played full out, because I understood about scotomas, I understood about blind spots, and I understood about placebos. So I started playing it full out, and hey, guess what? They work. They actually work. If you put yourself into a full state, bodily state of success, then you start to gain more and more success. And so I started to look at where's the science. And so I've looked at quantum physics, I've looked at neuroscience, I've looked at brain chemistry, I've looked at biology, I've looked at how the lymph system works, I've looked at all of these systems. And although my study principally took me down psychology, the psychology route with regard to hypnosis and how hypnosis can change the body chemistry, I put all of these together, and now when people talk about the law of attraction, I've now got enough pieces of information from all of these sources to put it together into something that anybody can understand. And so that's what I'm going to be delivering in Riga.
I'm so much looking forward to listen to that. And we're also going to be on the same panel one of the days. There a panel on that you initially initiated, a panel that we call When the Lights is Out, I think. Yeah. And we're going to share some of our biggest mistakes and what we learned from them. And that is, of course, really behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Your camera went out.
Yeah, and I think it's just come back now. Has it?
No, it hasn't. There was a technical error there.
I should be back now.
You should be back now. Yeah.
Am I there?
You are here. We had a technical mishap there, so I'm going to say that again. That we're both going to be together with some other people. We're going to be on a panel called When the Lights Are Out, when we share at least some of our mistakes and what we learned from them. Because that is the mistakes you make. If you learn from them, they're such a gift, aren't they?
Well, I can't even begin to explain how I felt 3 years ago, when I had the great opportunity of having journalists appear at one of my events. And at that event, I planned on, having someone come from the audience and working with them on a psychological process to help them get over stuff that I'd seen Tony Robbins do in a video that he had called Unleash the Power Within, before he had his UPW course. And I didn't know, but the person that I got on was a borderline schizophrenic who was on multiple drugs and was a borderline sociopath. And I'll never forget, to this day, Rolf, if you Google my name and out there, the newspaper article of the journalist, everyone forgets the journalist, but the newspaper article is still out there from like 24 years ago, where, it says Steve Consalva's grimaces and there's still no hope, and he's, and the thing is that for the rest of those delegates, you've just got to get on with it. So I bludgeoned through this whole process, and I'm grinning like this, and and my team come up to me and they go, "Hey, that didn't go quite like you explained, And it's like, no, but you've got to show. There was 80 people there. So what do? Tolly tells a story about, where he had a massive accident on stage in front of a couple of hundred people. You've just got to be able to deal with these things and move on. What do you do when somebody has an accident when you're running an event? So I've had some fun things happen to me, and some people are going to learn stuff. A lot of people kind of think I'm the standards guy, and I like things being perfect. You know me, Rolf. I'm like, I want it just so. Well, Guess what? It doesn't always go my way. Sometimes I get it wrong, and sometimes the lights do go out. So, what do you do?
What do you do? I remember once when I was working in California in the 90s, I was influenced by using the waivers, which in Sweden, if I do firework in Sweden, it's very different in different countries if you really have to use a waiver or not. But I was influenced by the Americans, and of course they have waivers, right? So I incorporated signing the waivers in the seminar, and I had this very high profile leadership training where they wanted me to do firework on the last meeting they had. It was a year or 2 year training that these CEOs they met regularly, and they had their wives or husbands on the last event, which was going to be firework. And so I talked about taking responsibility in your life, but just to make this very clear, you all have to sign a waiver. it doesn't, it just said if you walk on the fire, you take responsibility for that if you, have any problems with it. And there was a woman there said, I don't want to sign the waiver. And I said, it doesn't mean you have to walk on fire, but it just means I don't want to sign the waiver, she said. And it made absolutely no sense, of course. So I said, well, if you don't sign the waiver, you can't be part of the seminar. And she says, fine. And she stood up and left the room, and so did 25% of the other audience, feeling that I was, rude, which I was. So that was, one of the stepping stone to my road to humbleness, understanding how to take care of people in a better way, I think. So, and this is, of course, the official blunders that we can share here. But if in Riga we can share the really big ones, right?
Yeah. I mean, that would be.
So you don't have to do the same thing, people.
No. Learn from our mistakes, and the thing is, you're taking people through a very challenging process sometimes, and you just don't know what is going to come up. So getting people to that point and then getting them beyond it, my experience has been that sometimes the real tough guys are the ones that can't do the board break. I remember a guy from Thailand who was a martial artist and he couldn't break a board. And he said, this is crazy. I do 2 and 3 of these at a time. But on our intensive course, he couldn't do it, and he got so frustrated. He was swearing and cussing, and how do you deal with that? I don't know whether we dealt with it properly, but he went away and then he came back with 2 boards. He said, I broke 2 boards. Great, but we've all got these stories, and I think if we can just let them come out, then we'll have some fun.
It reminds me, I had a guy came once who had swam across the English Channel and climbed the Mount Everest and several other stuff like that, pretty advanced things. Now I wanted to walk on fire, and during the seminar he realized that, at least I didn't really care if he walked on fire or not. That was up to him, and there was no really sense in walking on fire, but there is a big sense in being true to who you are. And he grasped this, and he sat around the fire all evening just crying, realizing he didn't have to do anything that he didn't want to do. So sometimes not walking on fire can be the greatest gift for some people.
Yeah, and of course we say that to everybody, in a corporate event or in an open event, the decision to stand up and say, this is not my night, is harder. You've got 50 people around you. To stand at the front and say, do you know what? I'm not ready. So I'm going to take my decision. That to me is far more empowering than, being frightened to death and doing it anyway and having a poor experience. I'd rather people make a strong choice to not do it.
So that's what we're gifted with, the ability to, help people to find, to follow their heart,
Absolutely.
As we call it, as we say.
Yeah.
All right, my friend, it was lovely chatting with you tonight, and see you in Riga, if not before.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, Rolf, I have to say, and looking forward to connecting with all of those guys that I've either connected with on the phone or via Skype or email or Facebook. And a lot of these folk we only know electronically these days, so it's going to be great to have people that I've met before, because I reckon I've probably met 350, 400 firewalk instructors over the last sort of 10 years that I've been involved in training events. And so if that's me, you've met far more. It should be a fantastic event. Let's hope that people value their professionalism and value the profession and get themselves over there, because I'm all about giving. So I'm going to be sharing with whoever I meet, all of the good and bad and ugly about what I've done. And that to me is what a professional organisation is all about.
Absolutely, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
Looking forward to meeting you, and thanks for tonight.
Yeah, you're welcome, Rolf. Ciao.